So, Coach, how do you feel like your team has evolved as the year's gone on? Obviously, you've learned even more about your players as you've been in all these tough battles. How do you feel like they've grown and adapted to what's happened this season?
Well, I think we've remained relatively in the same lineup most of the year, but I think they've just continued to gel a little bit better each and every week. Obviously, we've had a bit of a change in the middle position over a couple of different periods in the season, but other than that, it's been pretty much a stable group. So I think, just as the season's gone on, they've continued to get used to playing next to each other a little bit more often. Some of those players being transfers, they don't have as many years of experience, obviously having a new setter. And so just as the season's gone on, I feel like the trust and the confidence has grown with themselves and each other, and they've just continued to gel as a group.
Kind of to go off of his point there, your team, obviously they went through just a brief losing skid there to Kentucky and Arkansas, but now back-to-back wins, both very impressive. How were you able to right the ship so quickly following a brief losing streak?
Well, yeah, I think this group has been very determined all season long, and I don't think losing changed that. I think we learned a lot from both of those losses, and certainly had a challenge on our hands when we went to Missouri the following week. And I just think that this group has really stayed consistent all year long in the belief they have in each other and the belief they have in their training. Again, it's an experienced group. I know I've said that many times, but they just, they know what's expected of themselves and where they want to go. And so I don't think that the losing changed that. There wasn't any moments of doubt. It was just, we learned a lot and it was back to it. And, just when you get into league play, you just don't have a lot of time to dwell. You got to get back to it and figure out as much as you can to prepare for the next opponent. And I feel like that's what they've done really well.
You said that there was no doubt in their confidence, no doubt with those losses. What does it take to be that resilient for a volleyball team that is playing at the caliber that you guys are?
Well, I think a lot of it's we have unbelievable leadership. We have a group of players, in Morgan Fingal, Janasia Moore, Jay Torres. Those girls are just, they're experienced, they're great players, and they're great leaders. And I think when you have that and you have leaders you can trust, the team just follows suit. And I think those girls they've done a tremendous job with just keeping this team focused on the present, whether that's practice or a match. They haven't wavered in how they've approached every day. And I think the team has just followed that.
There's just 7 conference games left in the regular season. What do you think is going to be a key to finish strong, and how much of an emphasis do you all place on finishing the regular season the right way?
We haven't talked a lot about, how much we have left. It's really been a day-to-day approach. And we've talked just about how much better we can get each and every day. And that message has started way back in August when we started training. It was just about the day we have, the opportunity we have in front of us for practice to improve. And at this point in the season, you're probably not trying to make a ton of big changes, but we are trying to fine-tune and kind of work through some of the details and nuances of certain things, but certainly not looking ahead to the end of the year or how many we have left, but just about opportunities we have in front of us in the present.
And just, not looking ahead to the end of the year, but you got a game on the road on Friday against a big-time rival in the Florida Gators. What have you been able to observe Florida's team and kind of see what some of their perhaps some of their strengths, some of their weaknesses are compared to your team?
Yeah, absolutely. Their freshman right side has done a tremendous job for them all season long. I think, they also have 2 really experienced outside hitters. They've been experienced libero. So, again, nothing different than playing on the road against anybody in this league. It's just, as we go on, everybody's good. Everybody's good at home, and Florida's going to be the same. But they are led by 3 really, really good pin attackers who get a lot of kills for them. And obviously they've struggled with some injuries throughout the season, but I think they're well coached and they've had a really successful season. They've won some big time matches, and I know our team is expecting a battle.
Yolana's, we know I'm bad at names, so if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, let me know. But recognized by the SEC for the 2nd time this season. How beneficial has she been to the defensive effort this year?
Jellianas.
Way off, my bad.
And we call her Jay. She's I mean, I don't know if it's quiet anymore. I felt like for a lot of the season, it was quietly like she was just doing her job, not getting a ton of recognition, not maybe people realizing how terrific she actually is as a player. You know, she is such a stable serve receiver, you know, and that obviously helps our offense run. But I actually think throughout the season, she's become a better and better defender. And even this last week, I thought she was making plays she hasn't made before, which has just helped our defense tremendously. But she's a very competitive player. You know, she takes practice very seriously. She doesn't take plays off. She's very dialed in practice. And so for me, I'm not really surprised that she's performing at this level. It's just, you know, I think now people are starting to recognize it, and how much she's played a role in our success.
You guys have been in some hostile road environments this year, plenty of experience playing on the road. But what in particular makes Florida challenging, and does past experiences for you or any of your players going to Gainesville, playing there, how much does that help with the road atmosphere?
Yeah, I don't know how many players on this team have played at Florida. Not that many, you know, so I'm not sure how much the past is going to play a role in this. Most of the girls who are out there may not have even played a match in their careers yet at Florida, other than Morgan Fingal for sure. So, you know, I think obviously Florida's, you know, at the top of the conference with us, and so everybody recognizes that, and that they're a good team and a well-established program. So no surprises there, I think. But again, this group we really haven't differentiated between opponents as the season's gone on. It's been about, you know, who's next, who do we have to play next, you know, and then game planning and preparing for that opponent.
This team is going to go down as, or hopefully will go down on the track to go down as one of the best in recent history and in all of Lady Vol volleyball history. It may seem simple, but what makes this team so good and so powerful? I just think going back to our leadership, we just have unbelievable leaders on this team, and they've been that way. You know, I even think back to last spring and just how determined they were to have a great season. And there's just a lot of trust. And I think when you have trust within your leadership group and you have trust within the coaching staff, it just, you know, that's when you can really have magical seasons. And I think that's what we've been able to have so far. Obviously, hoping for a lot of volleyball left to play, but it's been so fun to be with this group because you just feel like you're going to, you know, to work every day with people who are in it together, and everybody's kind of singing the same song, and the investment is all 21 players, and that's not easy to do on a team this size. But I point back to just the leadership that we have in Morgan Fingal, in Janasia Moore, you know, Caroline Kerr, Ashlyn King, Kaya Moore. These girls have been in our program for, you know, some of them for 5 years, some of them for 1 season, but it really hasn't mattered. It's just they've led this team so well. And they've just been determined to have a great season, and when you have that, you know, as coaches, you're just trying to, you know, be a part of it and get them where they want to go.
You guys have done a lot of things well the past 2 games, but what's something in particular this week in practice you'd like to do better for the Florida game than you have the past 2 matches?
Yeah, I mean, nothing. I mean, keeping it simple, you know, really, as we get in again later into the season. We're going to continue to talk about our service pressure, our passing game, our transition game, kind of some of the things I've mentioned over the last week or two that I think we still have a good amount of room for improvement on, you know. And obviously Raven Chase being in the lineup a little bit more stably, she's, you know, adds a different dynamic, and so just getting used to that as well.
Is there any moments this season where it kind of clicked into reality of how good this team is and how good they can be and how far they can go?
I don't know. I think I said this the last time. I thought our trip to the West Coast was really eye-opening for me. I think that was a trip that we had a lot of things going on. I think it's a trip that you could get easily distracted. We were in a different time zone. We were in San Diego for 4 or 5 days. You know, we had an opportunity to do some other things outside of volleyball. But when we played those 2 matches out in San Diego and then went on to play at Wisconsin in the same weekend, there was just a focus with the team when it came to volleyball that I thought was really significant. that I felt like, okay, this group understands how serious practice is and how serious these matches are. And while we had some kind of distractions and outside things going on those trips, which happens, which was good. I mean, we planned them into the trip, but it never got in the way of their ability to focus on what was going on, it never got in the way of their, the matches. And I think that was, for me, when we got back from that trip, I thought this group is just really dialed in, and I feel like it's been that way ever since.